and how may I direct your call?
Yes, I believe someone named Allison may have just called me.
Okay, one moment, okay?
Yes.
Thanks for holding.
Hot in here. Well, this is interesting. I wonder why they need so much time to prepare this. Now, this phone tag is not entirely their fault, ladies and gentlemen, as you have already read. If you have read all of my threads on the site Jabber, this is due to my phone company having actually cut me off from direct contact with anyone on the phone. I have to wait a minimum of 20 minutes to get my notices that I have a voice message, because all of my calls are going directly into my voice machine, and the phone doesn't ring or even tell me. Generally, the way I collect my voice messages anymore is that when I look at my phone, there is an icon at the top of the screen. Now, over the years, I have received complaints on my website. As a matter of fact, I have, for the time being, disconnected my mailboxes on my website because it is just too much. And right now, I am attempting to communicate with someone who actually can't give me the real skinny. This person is not going to give me the real skinny of what's going on. This is a person that the person is from patient experience. This person is what we used to call a flack catcher in the 60s. Occasionally a group of us, actually large, hundreds of us, would become dissatisfied with what was happening on the national and international scene, and we would go to an office of a person who was supposed to be responsible for the misinformation the public was receiving, and we would confront that person just by appearing in mass. This was called mau-mauing. We would mau-mau the flack catchers. This only happened for a little while when they all became aware of it and would start ducking out of their offices as soon as they got wind of anything happening. It is much like the town hall meetings that we're now experiencing, because everybody's coming to the conclusion that they have invested a large amount of money in protecting themselves when they're older. And right now, the Senate and the Congress are going to take their investment away from them. Come on, people, what's up? The music is so low that I actually expect that somebody is listening in to what I'm telling you, dear viewer. Now, in the case of this particular institution, it is necessary for my own protection to conduct all interviews in a recorded venue, because these people have actually lied about the behavior of many of their inmates. And I was subjected to a diagnosis which had nothing to do with neurology, but everything to do with my alleged morality. And the jury was quite incensed because of reading that diagnosis and awarded me a considerable amount of punitive damages. That diagnosis came from University of Iowa hospitals. Well, we've been videotaping this for almost 10 minutes, so I'm going to pause this right now. Well, I've decided to resume the tape because I should fill you in. Ladies and gentlemen, the University of Iowa features doctors that will fight against you in court. And the specialty of their staff is to defend Iowa policemen who have beaten the hell out of anybody they want to, for whatever reason they want to, and they're not allowed to do that. They believe they can do that in any venue. They believe they can do it while on duty or off. They believe that they can do it while they're working off duty in a venue which does not allow them to use deadly force, which they will carry deadly force into. They will ignore all of the facts, which would include numerous public complaints of offenses committed by these officers, such as unnecessary roughness, false arrests, and lying under oath. However, for their patients, they will not forgive, or overlook any transgression, regardless of what caused it, or regardless of how it occurred, and even if that transgression has been proven in court to be a false accusation. They will overlook that because it is always the fault of the public. It is never the fault of a state agency. This is the University of Iowa. And if they are finally forced to treat you for your disease, your malady, or for an inflicted disability, it's going to be your fault. So you don't want to talk to these people. You do not want to talk to them. If you find that some officer has beat you in the head so badly that you would just...
Thank you so much for holding. Sorry, I apologize about the delay. You were holding for Allison?
I thought so.
Okay. Let me pull up some information here. And what's your last name?
Soberoff.
Silverall. Yes, I left you a message. Thanks for calling back. So we had received some information that you had an appointment today in family medicine.
Well, now, once again, first of all, I have over 30 years' experience with the University of Iowa hospitals. Because of the University of Iowa hospitals' interference and misdiagnosis, in a court case that I had, I was able to find out that the University of Iowa hospitals specialize in a certain type of doctor. And when anyone comes in, and I mean anyone comes in who has been beaten by an Iowa policeman of any stripe, those doctors are employed, and those doctors have a record in court of only defending brutal policemen. I have checked this out. I know of where I speak. I have put those facts online, but those facts already were online. Anybody can look it up on iowacourts.gov. Now, the first time I was beaten by two Scott County officers, which, by the way, your facility tried to defend, they were known by their compatriots, their colleagues on the police force, as Bump and Thump. And the reason why is...
Bump and Dump?
Bump and Thump.
Okay, that was kind of their nicknames?
Yeah, that was their title. They were Hal Wilkerson and Laurel Mulvaney. And for almost 20 years before I encountered them, they would take deadly force into their after-hours part-time jobs as crowd control in various bistros. What came out in the trial, supported by many witnesses, is that Bump and Thump were crowd control in bistros which specialized in being drug and gang hangouts. And what Bump and Thump would do was their speciality was making sure that none of the of that facility's helpers, who were responsible for distributing things like methamphetamine and cocaine inside of that building, made off with any of it. That's what they were supposed to do. Now, when I walked into just such a facility, unknowing that that is what it was, I just thought it was a rock and roll club called Beethoven's. Now, I walked in there, and at the time I was a studio musician. I made $500 an hour. Now, I'm going to flash forward to one of your diagnoses. I'm making $500 an hour. I know this. Okay. This is just a facility. After these guys hit me on my head, I couldn't play the guitar anymore. At least for a while. But I had to overcome what your facility had done to my reputation. That took quite a while. And I never was able to really overcome it. And that is a subject that I'm going to cover in some more reviews of government agencies who like to throw people on the trash heap. Apparently, the people who work for your facility have prejudices. One of those prejudices is that musicians are a subgroup of human beings who don't deserve any of the money that they make. I worked for people who needed to have product made for them, and they thought that I played so good that they would give me $500 an hour. I provided proof of that to your companions. Their diagnosis turns out to be that my alleged ability, that my self-alleged ability to play musical instruments doesn't make any difference about what kind of check stub I have or what kind of professional recording that I can play for them. That was recorded by people who require several $100s an hour from their clients themselves to do their technical wizardry. I was diagnosed to only be a musician in my own mind. That my musicianship ability was due to a paranoid or grandiose delusion. Yet, I was making $500 an hour. The people who diagnose people in your facility really have to not use alternate facts. And they themselves can't be divorced from reality. Can they? Because of everything that I was able to produce at a trial, because of everything that we were able to produce, we proved that you people are prejudiced about everything. My neurological diagnosis didn't have anything about neurology in it. My diagnosis read that I'm a long-haired, bearded, apathetic, and, by the way, amoral male. You know, I didn't discuss any theological issues with Dr. Rizzo. How would he know that? How could he think that he knows that? This is not a rhetorical question, ma'am. You can answer it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to wait for you to answer it.
Sir, I'm not a medical...
Oh, no, wait a minute. You don't have to be medical. Oh, no. Look, wait. You see, now these people say they want to discuss an issue. And this is the very issue I called to discuss.
So you have concerns about...
Excuse me. Do not change the subject.
Sir, I'm just trying to figure out what your complaint is as far as, like, your care, the care...
Excuse me. I just told you.
So you're... that you were discriminated against.
Oh, wait a minute. Don't describe it like that. A neurologist who intentionally misdiagnosing me.
Okay. Do you know...
Wait a minute. See, now she's interrupting again. This neurologist, Dr. Rizzo, has a record, and he has testified literally hundreds of times for people who have been beaten up by Iowa policemen. That is the only aspect of testimony he provides.
Oh,
And the diagnosis... Excuse me. They won't let you finish. They say they want to have a discussion, but they want to misinterpret you. They don't want to answer the question, which I think up to this time has been stated quite implicitly. Your neurologist, Dr. Rizzo, decided that he would make a moral judgment on me based entirely on how I looked and did not conduct one neurological test.
Okay.
Now, my complaint doesn't have to do with his prejudice, because a jury already decided that to the tune of nearly $500,000 in punitive damages. They thought that's how bad he was at his job. Now, part of your diagnosis involved my being placed on a regimen of drugs which put me into a week-long coma. That is documented. That is another thing that the jury didn't like. And the thing about those drugs is that you got a PDR in your facility. And all these PDRs are pretty much the same. And all of these PDRs will tell you that every single drug that I was prescribed by you and the people who read your diagnosis was contraindicated for the injury that I was finally determined to have after the court decided that your treatment was based on something other than medical and psychiatric criteria. And those people determined that I wasn't a long-haired, bearded, apathetic male who wanted to sue a policeman. They determined that a policeman hit me in a specific part of my head, which was corroborated by many witnesses, and that this part of my head was now having a seizure activity which would be triggered by my waking up. And I would have one seizure a day, and believe me, it would spoil my whole day. But you know, it only took a few months of reasonable therapy with a drug that is allowed by the PDR to treat a head injury to totally cure me. Totally. You know, my neurologist, who is Dr. Hines in Ottumwa, I was sent by the court to Dr. Hines in Ottumwa because people who associate with the Genesis Healthcare Facility and follow their recommendations for who they're going to give to a client who is suffering from an attack that was caused by two pigs who were helping Beethoven's bar sell a stash of drugs. And I proved that in court. There were witnesses. One of those witnesses was an investigator named Mark Irvin, who testified to the type of drugs that these officers oversaw the sale of and the quantities. And I wasn't even into drugs. I just had long hair and a beard. Now, do you know how osmosis works?
No.
Well, let me tell you. Osmotic pressure, is what is caused when in a confined space that is within a semi-permeable membrane, there are lots of molecules or atoms which have the same charge. Oh, she hung up. Obviously, she did not want to know that this hospital falsified records of drug tests. And we know that because I allegedly was full of pot when I was confined for 8 days. But during that time, I became more full of pot, yet I wasn't observed obtaining anything like pot. And that means that these organizations falsify drug tests because osmotic pressure decreases as the semi-permeable membrane lets out these atoms and molecules of the same substance. So then the release of them in the body through, say, the urine is less and less every time you take a test, not more and more. The jury was pissed off about that too. Now, this woman didn't want to discuss this. So I'm going to call him back.
Clinic. The call you previously received was placed from a telephone within the hospital, but at this time we do not distinguish the specific telephone number that originated
Oh, I
the call.
dialed the wrong
If you
number.
need to speak with someone at Univerisity.
You see, the person that called me back didn't call me back on their line.
You have reached the Office of Patient Experience at University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics.
They don't want to hear
To
about your
discuss a
patient experience.
care-related concern, please press 1. For patient billing, press 2. To schedule an appointment, press 3. For one moment, please.
What they don't get is, like, I'm serious about these interviews and I want an answer, and she hasn't even answered my question.
Thank you for your patience. Please continue to hold for the next available staff member.
Amazing. They know who's calling. They got a caller ID. They don't want to answer the question. Well, we'll put the video on hold. Just a moment. I have to turn off my interocitor. It makes too much noise. Yes, I was talking to someone, and apparently the call got disconnected or they hung up. I was talking to someone who's supposed to be from the patient experience, who refuses to answer a single question that I've asked her about my patient experience, and instead wants to evade the answer and shift the topic.
Okay.
Maybe I can talk to someone else.
Okay. And sorry, what was the answer that you were trying to get resolved?
All right. Well, you're just you just answered the phone, right?
Correct. I'm just their receptionist. I'm just
Well,
trying to
that
figure out
won't.
where
Well,
they
you see,
were
that
getting
won't
at.
work. I gotta get an answer from somebody who's hooked in and controlled by hospital policy.
Right, but
Good.
that would be one of the patient relations specialists.
Good. That would you connect me with one of those, please?
Right, but they have different sections for the hospital, so that's why I was trying to figure out which one this concern
Oh,
was.
this section of the hospital was the family medical clinic.
Okay.
However, my experience with your hospital, which did involve a award that a jury gave me, which included nearly $500,000 in punitive damages, partially because of the patient experience I had involved in that previous contact. So, you know, we're talking about the same kind of thing happening twice. Lightning striking twice in a very negative and actionable way, 30 some years apart.
Okay, and sorry, what was your first and last name?
Dmitry Ivanovich. I'm a journalist.
Okay. And, okay, so how long ago did you speak to this patient rep from our office?
Well, I spoke to her for about 23 minutes before she hung up.
Okay,
I had told her, look, I've been an investigator for almost 30 years, and I don't like talking to people who say they want to have a discussion about a patient experience and then will evade any question that is asked.
Okay. Alright. then, or was this?
Yeah, this happened about 15 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. I'll go ask them because normally who takes care of family medicine is out right now, but I'll go see.
Wait a minute. And what is that person's name?
Okay. Hello, sir.
What is that person's name?
It is Allison, right?
Yes, it was Allison. Isn't that amazing that Allison hung up on me because of a very pertinent question that I've been trying to get answered for over 30 years.
Yeah,
And now there is the same situation happening 30 years apart, and this question fills her with such dread, she runs screaming from the office.
Sir, she just came out here from her office and talked to me and said she was just disconnected from you.
Oh, good. Well, you please reconnect her because she's going to have to answer this question.
Right. I will transfer you over right now then, okay?
All right. Okie dokie. She just came out 15 minutes later about her being disconnected. She's listening.
Hello, this is Allison.
Hello, Allison. I guess we got disconnected.
Jeffrey, yes, I apologize. We got disconnected, and I left you a message to give me a call back, so thank you.
Well, I haven't received that message yet.
Oh, well,
You see,
we left on your voicemail.
Allison, look, I know that people in the professions, some of the professions that are practiced in your hospital are trained, well in school, not to believe anything that anybody tells them. I know this. For instance, lawyers. I've been trying to talk to some attorneys that represent your facility. They don't want to talk to anybody. But now lawyers, for instance, I took pre-law. And we're told the clients never tell the whole truth about anything. Now, the thing is, the information that I've been releasing on the web is only unctuous to the federal government because it was gleaned from federal files and other evidence which was offered up was produced on video equipment which shows everything quite plain and real the way it is in the world. So about these events, which I have documented on my website and on SiteJabber and all over the web, I have documentation and evidence proving that the person who is doing the reporting based upon these video tapes and government documents is not being delusional. Now, getting back to the original question I asked you, I was assigned a neurologist some 30-some years ago who gave me a diagnosis that had not one relationship to a neurological examination. And I told you what that was. I was diagnosed to be a long-haired, bearded male who had no morality and just didn't care about the world in general. That doesn't have anything to do with neurology, does it?
No.
Okay, so you would have to agree that the service that I received 30 years ago was bunk. Correct?
The service you received because you had received an injury to the
Excuse
top of the
me.
head, right?
Excuse me. This is a yes or no question.
I can't answer that. I'm not a medical professional.
No, wait a minute. Wait. No, I'm asking you. I'm asking you to put yourself in the place of 12 jurors who were asked the same question by an attorney. And based on what I've just told you, based on records which verify everything I've just told you, they thought that diagnosis was bunk.
They thought it was what?
Bunk. Bunk. You know, bull.
Okay.
Total crap.
The jury
Based
thought
upon a person who has a mindset and a prejudice, because, you know, long-haired bearded males, there's trouble there, right?
So you felt like they diagnosed
Not what I felt, and not even what the jury felt, which is what I just told you. What do you feel? You're supposed to be the patient experience. Actually, what you are, you're like a patient advocate, correct?
No, we are not actually advocates.
Oh, well, maybe the person I need to talk to is you got a patient advocate, don't you?
No, we don't. We have the patient relations. They call us patient relations specialists.
Oh, well, maybe I need to speak to a patient relations specialist.
Well, that is our office here.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, I'm actually in the office, but I can't connect to the person who I need to get the answer from, because I'm asking you about your attitude. I'm asking you about your attitude and how you are working for an agency which will destroy an individual only based on the fact that they were wrongfully attacked by a policeman. You will destroy an individual. The diagnosis that I just gave you, the character assassination, and it's a character assassination, plain and simple, because it doesn't have anything to do with anything neurological.
So why did they send you to a neurologist, do you believe?
I just told her this. Of course, I just told her this like over 20 minutes ago. So maybe you got a short attention span too?
Well, we are just wanting to get...
Look, first of all, okay, well, let's get to the thought of the thought, as the Marish Mahesh Yogi used to say. I need to speak to somebody from patient relations who is concerned with patient advocacy. And that is located in your office. Now, you're not concerned with patient advocacy. What you're concerned with is blowing smoke up my skirt, because you don't want to answer the question. I need to have somebody who's supposed to represent patients when they have been wronged. And that person is going to have to come from the corner of the ring, where their requirement is, well, no matter how unlikely this sounds, I got to take this patient's side because I'm a patient advocate. That's who I got to talk to. And that person, with that mindset, will tell me the answer that really is called for from your lips. Yeah, Dr. Rizzo was a son of a bitch, and he wanted to sink you. It's obvious. And that our hospital shouldn't employ such people. Doctors who only testify for Iowa policemen, and doctors whose only goal is not to seek the recovery of such a person and the treatment of such a person, but they want to destroy him, because who you really represent is the police association. That's why I have to talk to a patient advocate. Now, you have my number. You think that you could pass that on, and then I can play phone tag with her for a while, or him, depending on the sex that person identifies with.
Well, what I can do is I can go ahead and forward this on to the director and how...
Oh, now that would even be better.
Would you like...
Now, wait a minute. Now, I don't just want to talk to the director of a certain department. I want to talk to the head honcho. Let's cut through all the chase. I want to talk to the guy who is responsible for an entire organization where you employ people like Dr. Rizzo. I want to know where that man's head is at.
Okay.
I want to know if the CEO, the head honcho, the professor Longhair, as it were, of University of Iowa hospitals, thinks that just because a person doesn't have a 9-to-5 job, it should belittle them. And just because a person can accurately say that they make more in an hour than the CEO of the hospital, he won't hold that against me. Because, there was a Dr. Garside who was influenced by your writings, and he held it against me. So I would like to get a call from your CEO. Mind you, the CEO will have to leave a message, and he will have to say, Mr. Soberoff, you can call me up at a certain time. And it'll have to be more than 20 minutes past, because I never know when I'm going to get notified by Cricket when I have received a voicemail.
Okay. Well, I will forward this information along, that you would like a phone call and to leave a message.
Wait a minute, not just a phone call from a specific person.
Well, I will let them know you are requesting that the CEO call you.
That's
I will
correct.
forward that information along.
That's correct. Oh, and I would also like some information. I saw 2 doctors yesterday in the clinic I was in. And I need to have both their names. And I need to know what their specialties are. I would appreciate getting that information before talking to your CEO. Like now you're calling me up, or you called me up, and even though this...
So I know you were seen, and it looks like you have an appointment in family medicine.
That's right. Now so I need the name and the specialities of both doctors who insulted me.
Oh, no. Okay. Name, position. Well, I can see, I don't know.
The 8-hour ride that I had to complete to get to your hospital and get back home after the way that I was treated in your hospital.
They had what now?
The 8-hour bus ride that I had to take.
Oh, wow.
You know something? I ought to get paid for that. And I am telling you that I have I have been waiting for the prescription. I mean, I thought that I was going to get a prescription for pain medication.
Okay.
And the thing is, I'm not going to bushy the drugstore that I told him to call, because I can make 12 of these pills last for over a year. But I know that what you guys are thinking is that, well, this guy just wants to get high. I wish I wasn't in such pain that I could get high from such things. But, I haven't received a call from that drugstore yet that prescription's been filled. So what I did today is I made sure that any charge that was accrued to me yesterday in your facilities is going to be looked at as fraud. I called Medicare and paved the way for that to happen. Now, they are not going to pay that bill. I have withdrawn my permission. Now, if you guys want me to write you a letter and withdraw on your end of the blower, you can. But I will tell you this, you are free to sue me. Because I think that it's only karmically beautiful that you can't get any money out of me, because you helped destroy me. I used to be a rich guy. And you helped destroy me. You helped destroy me by virtue of Dr. Rizzo. So you ain't gonna get any money when you sue me. But you couldn't make my credit any worse. So have at it. But you're not going to get any money from. You're not going to use my Medicare like it's a natural resource. I'm not going to come in just for a simple referral and then find out you want to split fees with somebody wants to split fees with somebody who is in there. Now, is this a private clinic? This is not actually associated with University of Iowa hospitals. This is a private clinic, isn't it?
The family medicine clinic?
Yes.
The family medicine clinic is with the University of Iowa hospital.
Oh, well, that means that the University of Iowa hospitals wants to split as many fees as they can so that they can suck as much money out of the government as they can. That's what, and I can write that based on everything that I have on the recording I made of my visit. And everything was just real pleasant until two people who have some kind of medical degree, and I don't know what they are in, but I expect to find out before 24 hours are over. I expect to find out what their specialties are. Insulted me. Hurt me to the quick. Insulted my entire lifestyle. And my entire lifestyle, by the way, I'm an Orthodox Jew, and I'm a musician. And your agency has already told me and has already asserted that Jews are amoral. And I don't like that. So I'll be waiting for that information in that phone call. Thank you so much for your time, such as it's been. This is Dmitry Ivanovich with the naked truth.